Hi, welcome to my video on the slopes of perpendicular lines. The symbol for perpendicular is the T. Perpendicular lines have negative, reciprocal slopes, or sometimes people call it the opposite reciprocal, negative reciprocal or opposite reciprocal slopes. Number one, find the slope of a line perpendicular to. So if the slope of a line is 2, then the perpendicular line has a slope of opposite is a negative, and the reciprocal of 2 is 1 over 2, because 2 is understood to be 2 over 1. So it's the opposite and it's the reciprocal. So it's a negative 2 over 1. Opposite of a negative is a positive, and the reciprocal is 7 over 3. 4 over 3 is positive, so it's a negative 3 over 4. And 0 is understood to be 0 over 1, so the reciprocal is 1 over 0, and that can't be, so that's undefined. And also, a line that has a 0 slope is horizontal, and a line perpendicular to that is vertical, and the slope of a vertical line is undefined. Equation: y equals negative 1/4 x plus 2, and that's y equals mx plus b. So the slope of this line is a negative 1/4. So the negative reciprocal is a positive 4 over 1, or positive 4, or just 4. And the slope of this line is 3. That's understood to be 3 over 1, so the opposite of that is a negative reciprocal 1/3. And we have to solve this equation for y, so 12y equals negative 8x plus 24. Divide by 12, and y is equal to 4 into 8 goes 2, 4 into 12 goes 3, so that's negative 2/3 x plus 2. So the slope of this line is negative 2/3. So the perpendicular slope is a positive 3 over 2, because it's the negative reciprocal or opposite reciprocal. And how about the line that goes through 2 points? So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Slope is rise over run. So y2 is a negative 1, subtract 4. x2 is a 3, subtract 1. So that's a negative 5 over 2. So the negative reciprocal is a positive 2 over 5. So lines that have a slope of negative 2 over 5, negative 5 over 2, and positive 2 over 5 are perpendicular to each other. And we have a line here. This is the line through these 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so that's a negative 2 for y2. y1 is 3. All over x2 is 2. Subtract x1 is 2. That gives me negative 5 over 0. And negative 5 over 0 is an undefined slope. And perpendicular to that, that's an undefined slope. That's a vertical line, so it has to be a horizontal line. So the slope of horizontal line is 0. And again, just to look at this for a second, this is the point 2,3. So let's pretend that this is the point 2,3, and this is the point 2, negative 2. So let's pretend that that's there. So notice the line through these 2 points is like that, and that's a vertical line. And the vertical line has a slope of slope is undefined because it's division by 0. So that means perpendicular to that would be this line. And perpendicular to that would be horizontal line. And the slope of a horizontal line is 0, because on a horizontal line, the y's are the same and the x's are changing. So it's horizontal line is the x's are changing, the y's are the same. So it's the rise over the run, so 0 over some number. So the slope of this line is undefined, so perpendicular to that is, that's a vertical line. Just to mention that again, this is the vertical line with undefined slope, so perpendicular to that is the horizontal line, and the horizontal line has a slope of 0. Horizontal line and vertical line can't have negative reciprocals. You'll see that coming. I'll explain that again later. And don't forget to pause your video and work some of these out. Find the value of k in each. AB is perpendicular to DC. The slope of AB is 4 over k. The slope of DC is negative 2 over 3. So if I were to do a perpendicular slope, I would do on the one with the number. So that it's negative of that negative is a positive, 3 over 2. So that means that the 4 over k is equal to 3 over 2. Cross multiply. 3 times k equals 4 times 2. 3k equals 8. And divide by 3. K is equal to 8 over 3. So when you put an 8 over 3 here and work it out, you should get a 3 over 2. Just check. Let's check this one. So K is 8 over 3. So 4 over K is 4 divided by 8 over 3. So that's 4 times the reciprocal. So there's 3 over 8. So that's 4 over 1 times 3 over 8. 4 canceling 8, 2 gives me 3 over 2. Perfect. So the slope of this, when k is 8 over 3, this slope becomes 3 over 2, and they're negative reciprocals of each other. Again, don't forget, pause the video and work them out before I do. PQ is perpendicular to FH. And so that, I know this one. So the perpendicular slope is a negative 5 over 3. So that means that k minus 7 all over k plus 1 is equal to negative 5 over 3. Again, you can get the negative reciprocal of this one, but it's best to get the negative reciprocal of the number without the k. So get the negative reciprocal of the fraction that you know as a number. And so cross multiply, 3 times k minus 7 equals negative 5 times k plus 1. 3k minus 21 equals negative 5k minus 5. 3k plus 5k equals negative 5 plus 21. So 8k equals 16. Divide by 8. And k equals 2. So when you put 2 in here and check it out, I'm just doing a quick check. K is 2, so 2 minus 7 all over 2 plus 3, that's negative 5 all over 3. And you can see when k is 2 plugged in, 3 over 5 and negative 5 over 3 are the negative reciprocals of each other. C, DE is perpendicular to TV. DE is perpendicular to TV. I already have the slope of DE. I need to get the slope of TV. So I have to work that out. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So I get y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. y2 is a 9 minus a 3. x2 is a 0. Now I got to be careful. So it's a minus of this. So notice I'm putting this binomial in a bracket. So that's 6. So 0. So that's the negative of this. So that's a k minus 2. So that's the slope of TV. This is the slope of DE. Both of them have k's. So let's get the perpendicular slope of DE. So the perpendicular slope here is the positive k over 4. This is a single fraction. And just pretend, if you were to get the negative reciprocal of this one, you would go negative of k minus 2 over 6. That would be negative k plus 2 over 6. So the better one to get the negative reciprocal of is this one. You could do this one. So that means that the k over 4 is equal to 6 over k minus 2. This is the easier one to get the negative reciprocal of. Negative of a negative is a positive, and 4 over k is k over 4. So k over 4 is equal to this slope right here. And we cross multiply. K times k minus 2 equals 4 times 6. K times k squared, k times 2, negative 2, k, 24. Got a quadratic, so we make it equal to 0. And a quadratic, we have a product of negative 24. We have a sum of a negative 2. So the factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 3 and 8, 2 and 12, I was going to say 2 and 16, 4 and 6. Which pair of factors of 24 gives you a 2? Nope. That gives you 25 or 23. That gives you 11 or a 5. That gives you 14 or a 10. So it must be 4 and 6. So it's k. K. We have a 4 and a 6. And the product is negative, so it must be plus and minus. So I have a positive and a negative, and I need to add, so it's a positive 4 and a negative 6. Multiply. 4 times negative 6, 24. Add 2. So k plus 4 equals 0, or k minus 6 equals 0. K is negative 4, or k is 6. So there's two values. Because you have a quadratic, you have two possible values of k that this will be true for. Okay, let's continue. And again, pause the video. Find the value of k for each. More samples. TB is perpendicular to AV. So they're perpendicular, so therefore let's get the slope of the one with the number. So the perpendicular slope of AV is a positive 1/3. So that means that 3k minus 2 squared is equal to 1/3. Now there's many ways to do this. One way is to multiply both sides by 3. Multiply through by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. K squared. 3 times, if you multiply both sides by 3 like that, you get 3 cancels and you get a 1. Now we divide by 9 and we get k minus 1 equals 1/9. Notice the k. I can go k is 1 over k squared is 1/9. A negative reciprocal does the negative exponent does the reciprocal of the k, so that's 1 over k squared. Notice they both have numerators of 1, so that means k squared is equal to 9. And if k squared is equal to 9, the square root of k squared is plus or minus the square root of 9. The square root of k squared is k. That's plus or minus 3. So plus or minus 3 works out to be the value of k, so the slopes are negative reciprocals. And E, the equation of the two perpendicular lines. So both lines, the lines are perpendicular, so I have to find the slope of each first. So again, I'm writing them down as y equals mx plus b, solving them for y. So here I go. So the 2x moves over to become negative. So and I divide by negative 3. So y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Now I have to solve this one for y to get the slope. So negative 12x is equal to negative 6kx plus 12. Divide by negative 12, divide by negative 12, and divide by negative 12. That cancels, so y is equal to 6 over 12. The negatives cancel, so that becomes k over 2. 6 into 12 goes 2, so it's k over 2x minus 1. So the slope of this line is 2/3. The slope of this line is k over 2. And they're supposed to be perpendicular to each other, so that means the perpendicular slope is a negative 3 over 2. So that means that k over 2 is equal to negative 3 over 2. And both of them are have denominators of 2. That means k is equal to negative 3. Again, perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. The vertices of a triangle are A is negative 3, negative 2, B is 1, 5, C is 6, 1. Find as a fraction in simplest form the slope of the altitude from B. So, what we have, very quickly, let's just draw a little picture of this. A is negative 3, negative 2, so let's pretend that A is right there. B is 1, 5, so let's pretend 1, 5 is right there. I just do an approximation. C is 6, 1, so way over here, up 1. So there's C. So here's the triangle. It says, as a fraction, find as a fraction the slope of the altitude from B. So the altitude from B, altitude goes perpendicular to the opposite side. So that means that the slope of the altitude is the negative reciprocal of the slope of AC. So let's get the slope of AC. AC. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So the slope of AC is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. And y2 is 1 minus negative 2. All over x2 is 6 minus a negative 3. And double negatives. So that becomes 3 over 9, which is 3 into 3 goes once, 3 into 9 goes 3, 1/3. So the slope of the altitude, ALT, is negative 3 over 1, or just negative 3. Again, an altitude, the altitude is from B, perpendicular to AC. So I got the slope of AC and got the negative reciprocal. So that's the slope of this altitude from B down to this line is negative 3. And we have another question 4 and 5. We have a couple more pages. Find the slope of the line through each. So just keep working these out, because notice now that the slope of this line, the slope of AB, is, again, the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that's y2, let's do x1, y1, and x2, y2, so we don't get mixed up. y2 is 4 minus y1 is 4, and x2 is 3 minus 1, so that's a 0 over 2, or 0. That means that's the slope. And again, let's illustrate. We have a point 1, 4. Let's pretend that's 1, 4 right there. 1 over 4 up. And this is point 3, 4 right there. So notice the line going through these 2 points is horizontal. And this is a horizontal line. So what's the slope of horizontal line? 0. Now, if you were to do perpendicular to that, parallel to that, would have the same slope of 0, because it'd be a horizontal line. Perpendicular to it will be vertical, and the slope of a vertical line is undefined. Okay. Find the slope of this line. So we have the slope of ht, y2 minus y1, x2. Notice I write it down all the time, and as a result of writing it down, it becomes easy to learn, easy to not forget. Y2 is 4, y1 is 1, so it's 4 minus 1. X2 is 2, x1 is 2, so that's 3 over 0, and 3 over 0 is undefined, and an undefined slope is the slope of a vertical line. And again, just a quick, x is 2, y is 1, x is 2, y is 1, let's pretend it's there. X is 2, y is 4, right there. And notice that the line going through these 2 points is vertical, and the slope of a vertical line is undefined. So if I were to do parallel to that, it would be undefined, another vertical line. And perpendicular to that would be horizontal, whose slope would be 0. But just going over the parallel and vertical. And notice the equation of this line. Notice that right here, what's the equation? The equation is a horizontal line, and a horizontal line, what happens? Y is always 3, so the equation of that line is y equals 4. Y is 4 all the time. And this is the equation of this vertical line. We're going to do that in the next section. The equation of this vertical line, notice that x is 2, x is 2, x is 2 everywhere on this line. So therefore, the equation of a vertical line is x equals 2. And a vertical line can never be written in the slope y-intercept form. Number 5. A circle has a center of negative 2, 1. The point A, 5, negative 1, lies on the circle. Find the slope of the tangent. So let's draw a picture of this. This comes up quite often in math, the higher math. So we have a circle with a center of 2, 1. Let's pretend that's 2, 1. And the point 5, 1, negative 1, lies on the circle. So this is the center of the circle. This is the radius of the circle here. So I'll draw a circle going around like this. Here it is. So this is the center of 2, 1. This is the point on the circle. It says find the slope of the tangent at A. So this is point A right here. So that's A right there. Now a tangent is a line that's drawn to cut the circle at one point. So a tangent cuts the circle at one point. So here's the tangent. So notice this tangent line is cutting the circle at one point. That's what a tangent do. It intersects the circle at one point right there, point A. But in math, if you haven't come across it, hopefully you have seen it, that the tangent line and the segment from the radius, the tangent line, which is this one, and the radius intersect at a right angle. So a tangent intersecting a circle at one point, which it does, and the radius are perpendicular. That means the slope of the tangent is the negative reciprocal of the slope of the radius. So the radius passes through 2, 1, and 5, negative 1. So we get the slope of, I'm going to call it r radius, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 is negative 1, subtract 1. x2 is 5, subtract 2. So that's negative 2 over 3. So that's the slope of the radius. I'm going to call it radius. I'm going to call it RAD for radius. So the slope of, I could say also that's the slope of OA. So the slope of OA is the same as the slope of the radius, which is negative 2/3. So the slope of the tangent is opposite, is a positive 3 over 2, because the tangent and the radius are perpendicular to each other. which means they have negative reciprocal slopes. That will come up in math again and again and again. Be conscious, because it's negative reciprocal slopes. And the last sheet, just to sum up this, perpendicular lines have opposite or negative N-E-G-A-T, my spelling is reciprocals. Negative, or we could say opposite, your choice. Negative reciprocal or opposite reciprocal slopes. Also, their product is -1. Let's illustrate another way. If the slope of a line is half, then its perpendicular slope is -2, negative reciprocal. So a half times -2 is -2/2, which is -1. The negative reciprocal of 3/4 is a positive 4/3. So -3/4 times 4/3 is negative. I can cancel. 4's cancel. 3 and 3 once. 3, that is -1. So that gives me -1. -6 is -6/1, so it's a positive 1/6. So -6 times 1/6 is, the 6's cancel, -1. And we have a 7/1, so it's -1/7. So 7 times -1/7. Again, the 7's cancel, and we get -1. So if two lines are perpendicular to each other, then their product is -1. Their slopes multiply to give you -1. Except for horizontal and vertical lines. Their product is not negative reciprocal. Product is not -1. Reason? The slope of a horizontal line is 0. The slope of a vertical line is undefined. The product of the slope of a vertical line and a horizontal line, vertical horizontal line, cannot be done, since the slope of a vertical line is undefined. And we can't multiply by when a number has a 0 in the bottom. So a 0 slope is like 0/3. An undefined slope is like 3/0. So this number can't be, so we can't multiply to get -1. So just reminds you of a vertical and a horizontal line. Horizontal line got a slope of 0, a vertical line got a slope of undefined. And you can't multiply them. And you can't say negative reciprocal. And if you like my video on perpendicular lines, click the like button, click the subscribe button. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.